talking about this life being hard underneath this heavy yoke, and I start to think about what is it that you are hungry for? What is it that will fill you up? And while this might sound like a food question, in your church, and I'm speaking about, yes, we love to swing by for coffee time after church and grab a few snacks and fill us up. But what I'm speaking about is something a lot deeper. What is it that fills you up? What is it that you're hungry for in your souls and your heart? What fills the deep hunger that you have? What brings you satiation? What are you hungry for? There are many who are in this room that are working beneath the yoke of heavy burdens, yokes that do not satisfy. We keep getting distracted by possessions, by activities, by job titles that don't fill us, and so we go on after the next. And we keep ourselves busy but never quite feel satisfied. We feel this tremendous hunger, a yoke that still presses upon us. They come in the form of work bringing no satisfaction, a relationship that leaves us empty, the lack of forgiveness for ourselves or others. It comes in the form of something I heard the other day. The news was that Chicagoland has one of the longest commutes in the nation, and most of us will spend a year and a half of our lives commuting in our cars. This can cause so many to try to fill their hunger in other ways. Then there are the massive debt loads that so many live under, caused by trying to fill this hunger that is inside, only to find we're longing for something more, longing for something else. But what is it that we're really up against? Are we up for what we are actually hungry for, or are we being told what to hunger for, which leaves us hungry yet for something more? In our gospel lesson, Jesus tells us to come to Him, all who are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and He'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Wait a minute. Just tell us to take His yoke after coming to Him, asking for rest. To take a yoke, that means we're about to do some more work, and it sounds a little bit counterintuitive to give us more to do, to add another commitment on. That sounds counter to filling my hunger. But wait, there's more. Jesus tells us to learn from Him, for He's gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get a little intrigued by what Jesus is offering up here. Intrigued by this counter to common wisdom, an offer of something different than what should be expected. I mean, you give the burden of your yoke over to Jesus, and He'll give us rest for our souls as we take on His yoke. Should we try? And maybe Jesus isn't just speaking to first century Jerusalem, but He's speaking to us today here in this room. Rest for our souls. As you consider how you are hungry and hungry, and how that gets fed and how you're not being filled. Ways that leave you wanting more. Ways which will fill you. And when you do turn to Jesus and we live into this vision of the church, that burden will be light. And at Living Waters, we are about growing in faith. We are about growing as a community and finding gifts and our passions that we might be of service to Christ in the world, that will fill our hearts, our minds, and our souls. When we serve, it should spark a passion, an interest for ourselves, and not become a heavy burden for us. Take, for instance, recently we had someone helping out by putting data into the computer, and we showed them the first week, someone showed them how this needs to be done and a process for Then they came back the second week, and they just were disheveled and out of sorts, and you could just tell the stress was on them, and the task was an easy one for the right person, but for this person, it was just a stressor. It was something that carried a heavy burden on them, and the person that was training them looked at them and said, look, if this is stressing you out, if this is causing you to feel anxious and out of sorts, this isn't the place for you to be using your gifts. This isn't a gift for you. And your gifts will be better used elsewhere. I mean, and so what's at stake is for us to be able to try something out, to take on some sort of activity and role within the church without feeling like that once we've done it once, maybe twice, that we are stuck with that role. Right? We so often think that, oh, I tried something at the church, I did it, and then the next time we try it, people start leaning on us, and we're like, yeah, but I don't want to do that anymore. That's not fitting with my gifts. And so we determine it's not for us, but we also get scared of stepping into those places because we're worried that we might not be able to get out of it. But here's the deal. We've all been given different gifts to use, different abilities to use for the church. And we come together so those different abilities can grow us as a community and to grow us as the body of Christ. I mean, we don't need to do anything. We want people to do something. We want people to do the right thing. And knowing the right things are what are being chased after. If we go down one road and we try something and it's not right, then we can back out of it. And so, what would it be that if you could just try something, what would you be hungry for? What would be a place that your soul might find some rest or spark a passion? Would it be an activity such as serving somewhere? Or maybe it's deepening your faith by trying to learn Scripture a little bit more and doing something like joining adult Bible study or on Sunday mornings or coming to Bible study on Thursday mornings? Or would it be to maybe try something different? You feel like you've just been doing the same thing and not really getting anywhere, and trying something different like Patricia was sharing with us, Financial Peace University. Or trying a new faith practice of sorts. During the month of September, we're going to consider the gifts that God has given to each of us to fill the hungers that we have, to fill our hearts and our souls spiritually. And how in order to fill this hunger, each and every one of you are going to be our challenge to pick two things to do and two activities to try. One way of looking at it, we'll get to this analogy later on in September, but think of it like a box of chocolates, right? You get that box of chocolates and you open it up and you try one chocolate, you know what shape it is, and for whatever reason, people have a thing against coconut. I like coconut, but for some of you that's coconut, you try that coconut chocolate and you're like, take a bite, oh, you're like, it's not right. But I'm just going to finish this out just so I'm not wasteful. Or for those who like coconut, you might be, it's the chocolate caramel, it's just way too sweet. And you tried it and you can go with it. And then, you might try a third one, and it's the chocolate truffle, which, right, we all love some chocolate truffle, I hope. Anyone I do, so. But we try it and it's like, this is perfect. This just fits the bill for me. And so you try some different things and you work it. Or you go to Panera, and this is where the inspiration for Pick 2 came from. You go to Panera and you pick two items. You get a soup and a salad, or a salad and a sandwich, or a salad and a soup, and you get to choose from the soups, and you're like, I really didn't like that soup last time. I think I'm going to try something different this time. Or the ham sandwich, it wasn't, but I really liked the roast beef last time I had it. So you try these different things to find the right combination that works for you. And that's what Pick 2 is about. It's trying to try a few things and see what we like and what we don't like. Maybe we'll spark spark a passion and find something that's fulfilling, or maybe something that's not so fulfilling. The idea is to try two things: to deepen our faith and our engagement and our involvement. Now, the Pick 2 menu is up on the windows in the back, and you can check it out after worship and after service today, or come during the week and make your list. And yes, it's not complete, so next week it'll be more a new and improved menu, if you will, things for you to try. And if you're a ministry team leader and you'd like to say, hey, wait a minute, you forgot to put up the basket weaving class that we have, email me and we'll get that up there. Don't feel like it's a set menu. It can change and evolve as opportunities arrive. But there's contact people there, or in your bulletin, wait and see where things are at. And if it's a spiritual practice, check out our church website or the ELCA's website, like practices of prayer, or how it is that you might read through the Bible in a full year. Or, there's other practices that you might challenge yourself to. You might be called or feeling called to do something, to deepen your faith and see what it might be like to try a tithe. And just trying that for 1 week, just taking, you get your check and taking 10% right out of that check and giving it to the church is a way to just try it out. And if you like it, great. If you don't, continue to work towards it. Jesus calls us to hand over those burdens which are heavy, in order to give us burdens which are light. You can take on this yoke by allowing yourself to try a few things, to try two things that might become for you a passion, that might fill your soul to the brim and deepen your faith and your commitment. And that's why we're here, isn't it? To see what God is up to in our lives, to use the gifts that God has given to us, and to share and be in community.